I kid you not, I think I've tried almost every life hack / tip there is under the sun, and there have been many that I've just kicked to the curb because they either, one, are not convenient so I don't stick to them, or two, I don't experience any noticeable benefits. But there have been a few habits I've developed and perfected over the years that have actually made a huge difference in my health, appearance, and just general lifestyle. There will be no gatekeeping here. These are the actual things that I do that help me become the better version of myself and make life just a little bit better. All right, so the first healthy habit that has transformed my life is reading 30 minutes a day. It's no secret that reading is so good for you and extremely important in maintaining literacy and an extensive vocabulary, which might not seem like a big deal, like why do I need to know a bunch of fancy words? But it's not just that. People who read are better communicators, leaders, and innovators. Reading helps you communicate effectively, have deep conversations with others, and problem solve. And it doesn't really matter what genre of literature you like to read as long as you do it, but I've been on a personal development / self-help kick for about a year or so. My thing is, I like to read about things that I can directly apply to my life. So I like to read books about career, relationships, gender psychology, mental health, spirituality, all things that I feel like can help me become the best version of myself. And another reason I love reading is because I feel like in this age of social media and the internet, I feel like I'm always staring at a screen. So to me, reading like a physical book just helps me to relax and give my eyes a break. I also think reading is just a great way to exercise your brain, especially for all my people who aren't in school anymore. I feel like far too often after we graduate, we just stop learning altogether. But honestly guys, learning is what life is all about. So books is just one way that I like to keep my brain and communication skills strong. All right, so this next one might be a hard pill to swallow for some of you, and honestly for me too sometimes, but this year I've really gotten into the habit of being mindful of the sugar in food. Ever since I did my detox back in January, and if you haven't seen the video for that, like go watch it after this because it was freaking hard, dude. But ever since I did that detox, I've been extremely conscious about what I put into my body. Doing that detox made me learn about all the ways companies are just sneaking sugar into our foods, even food we didn't even realize had sugar or needed sugar. And you know, depriving myself of sugar for an entire month just totally reset my body's base level. I stopped craving things, I didn't crash in the middle of the day anymore. My overall energy levels were just so much higher and more stable, and my skin looked phenomenal. Now, obviously, I'm not on the detox anymore. I do eat some amounts of sugar just because I think balance is really important. I think cutting out an entire food group completely is just very restricting, and it puts me into a bad mental state, and then I have a really bad relationship with food and diet. So rather than cutting sugar out completely, I'm just simply more conscious about it. I've also gotten into the habit of reading the ingredients list on everything, not just looking for sugar, but for any other things that might not be so good for me. Being more aware of sugar and what I eat has 100% changed my life, and I really encourage you to just take some inventory of what you're putting into your body. All right, so the next healthy habit I've been doing is focusing on my skin's health, not just its appearance. This year has been a really hard year for my skin, to say the least. I don't know if it's second puberty or just hormonal fluctuations, but I've never had so many breakouts in my entire life. And as someone who's always had really great skin, it can be very frustrating and depressing. So over the last few months, I've really focused on the deeper health of my skin and not just its appearance. Like not just slapping some pimple cream on my acne, but actually trying to get to the bottom of why I'm having breakouts. Don't get me wrong, using a bunch of skincare is fine, but skincare is not going to change the health, structure, or function of your skin. I'm sorry, it's just not. The only thing that's gonna change it is your diet and lifestyle. So thinking that skincare is just gonna be a band-aid to fix your problems is not gonna work out for you. When I did the detox back in January, for the first couple weeks, my skin cleared up so much. By cutting out sugar and processed foods and only feeding my body raw fruits and vegetables, my skin was able to get properly nourished. I stopped getting breakouts, my texture just smoothened out completely, and my skin just looked a lot brighter. Diet is the most effective way to improve your skin. It's not the products you use. But something else that is super important is lifestyle. Towards the end of my detox, I was just experiencing a ton of personal and family issues. It was one of the worst periods of my life. Like, I wish I never have to go through that again. And I actually started breaking out again, even though I was eating clean. Because stress can also cause skin and hormone changes. So it was a wake-up call to me to get my mental health game back on point and to find ways to cope during hard times. So one of the ways I do this is I try to sleep earlier now because when I'm tired, I just naturally get more stressed. And I also give myself breaks from work so that I don't feel too overwhelmed. Of course, I still get breakouts here and there, but now I know how to better deal with them. Okay, so this next one might seem a little bit weird to you, but just stick with me, I promise. The habit that has surprisingly transformed my health and beauty, I take less scalding showers. And I know what you're thinking.
Allison, good for you, girl, but I just can't give up my hot showers. They're what I look forward to.
Yes, I get it. But the thing is, you're doing more damage to your hair and skin than you think. Taking really long and hot showers can dry out your skin and damage its barrier. I have eczema, and so for me, taking really long and hot showers actually makes it worse. The hot water can also damage the keratin in your hair, making it frizzier and drier. And the whole reason I discovered this habit in the first place and started doing it is because I recently just colored and glossed my hair. I don't know if you can tell. And so in an effort to maintain its color, I started taking lukewarm showers. And I didn't think I would see that big of a difference from it, but it's actually been a lot better for me. My skin isn't as dry and my hair has been shinier, less frizzy, and just overall healthier. Now, obviously, if you don't really care about your hair health, then this doesn't apply to you. But I think for me, just as I get older, the more I wanna preserve things about myself, and so taking lukewarm showers has definitely been a game changer. Now, I'm not telling you to make your showers like ice cold, but lowering the temperature just a little bit can make the biggest difference in your skin and hair health. My next healthy habit is one that I actually recently started doing, and that is incorporating more strength workouts in my workout routine. I used to be an all cardio girly. Back in high school, I used to run 3 miles every morning before school, and that would be like my entire workout. Like that's all I would do is just running. And it was good for a while, but I was not putting on any muscle whatsoever, and I was very skinny. But I pretty much stuck to an all cardio workout for many years. I think I was scared of lifting weights because I just didn't want to get bulky, and I also didn't know how to do it. But a couple weeks ago, I was working out with my boyfriend and we were lifting weights together because that's what he does. And I realized I wasn't as strong as I thought I was. So now I've actually started to incorporate more weight training and strength-related exercises into my routine. I'm not a bodybuilder or personal trainer by any means, but I do know that if you want to get that lean, toned look, you have to build muscle. But you don't have to just lift weights. I also love doing Pilates a couple times a week. And all my Pilates girlies will agree with me when I say that Pilates is not a walk in the park, okay? It's freaking hard, man. So yeah, I've been loving my workouts recently, and it just helps to switch it up, you know? Move my body in different ways. And now, by focusing on strength rather than just endurance, I feel like my relationship with exercise is so much better. Okay, so this is the habit that has had the biggest influence on my life, and that is setting boundaries for myself. I've always been a workaholic, and I honestly fear laziness. I'm gonna get a little bit personal here. A lot of it comes from an insecurity of feeling less than and seeking approval from other people. I think I used to convince myself that if I was always working or doing something, then I would be better than everyone else, or people would like me more, admire me, but that is just simply not true. And it actually made me so miserable. I'm prone to getting easily stressed, and I'm very sensitive when other people critique me, and sometimes I can be closed-minded when it comes to my routine and how I like to do things. But what I've learned is that life will continue on whether I'm in the moment or not. So sometimes experiencing life and having fun and having freedom is so much more important and fulfilling than forcing myself to check something off my list. So now I'm a lot more mindful of how much I'm working versus how much time I allow for myself and for others. I try not to work weekends anymore, including Sundays, and I give myself a cutoff time to stop working every night. You know, I used to think that giving myself a break was wasting time, but it's actually proved to make me more productive and creative. I'm not a perfect person by any means, and I definitely think there are more ways to improve my health and lifestyle, but these are just a few of the tips that I've collected over the years that have not only improved my physical self, but also my mental and emotional. If you guys resonated with any of these or have your own habits that you'd like to share, drop them in the comments so that we can all read them and share the knowledge. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!